Good afternoon, everybody. Jeff from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. Today I'd like to talk about wheel alignment, and I'd like to take and talk to you about three terms that they use when they're referring to wheel alignment. One is caster, one is camber, and one is toe. And I'm going to take and show you what all three of those are and why it's important to have them properly aligned. Okay, in a vehicle, caster, camber, and toe all have to do with geometry. It's what your wheels are doing when they're driving down the road, what position they're in. So for caster, you can have positive caster and you can have negative caster. Okay? So if you have this a setup like this right here, okay, this would be neutral. Okay, the way your wheel is, in like the wheel well. Okay, if you have the wheel that is forward of the center line, that is called positive caster. Okay, if it was behind, it would be negative caster. Okay, so the reason you'd want that, so if you had positive caster, you'd want the front wheel just a little bit ahead of the center line, and what sets that up are your upper and lower control arms. Okay, it is minimally adjustable. The reason you'd have to take and adjust it is because there's been a collision, or maybe you'd have to readjust it because you've replaced the upper and lower control arms in the spring assembly. But if you wanted positive caster, which is where most car type vehicles and light trucks are set, where the front wheel is just slightly forward of the center line of the suspension, it makes the steering wheel return a little bit easier when you're in a turn. Okay, the only way that you would have negative caster, which means it would be behind the center line, are for heavy trucks and other heavy applications. Okay, so generally when you take and go to a wheel alignment shop, they will check this. They won't usually have to take and adjust it. Okay, looking from the front of the vehicle, I have the yardstick at the center line of the tire. Okay, and you would be looking at camber. Okay, camber is whether the very top of your tire is leaning out or it's in. Okay, and that is definitely set on rack and pinion type steering, Jeeps and things like that. It's not really adjustable. If your camber is out of alignment, generally you have a bent axle or you have bad ball joints in there, so that's something that would require a part to take and be repaired. The reason that camber is important is for tire wear. Okay, so you want your tires to take and wear properly. So if you have too much positive camber, which means the top of your tire would be out a little bit more than it's supposed to be, your tire will be wearing on the outside edge. If you have negative camber, it would be wearing on the inside. If you have cupping, which is kind of a scalloped edge on either one, that would probably be bad ball joints. Okay, so that's something that would require a repair part. The next thing you want to take and look at is toe. Okay, toe is how the tires are pointed down the road. Okay, they are usually not straight ahead. They are generally towed in at the front of the tire, a very small amount that when you take your hands off the steering wheel, your car will track straight down the line, you know, and it won't be wandering all over the place. There is a condition called death wobble. If you have bad ball joints or something wrong with your steering box, when you go over a little bump, your steering wheel will violently move back and forth at a very rapid rate. So you really don't want that. Okay, so on the Jeep straight axle, okay, let me show you how tow is set. Okay, this is the suspension underneath the Jeep. This is a straight axle, which means there are no A-frame, A-arms, upper and lower, and all that kind of stuff. It's just a one-piece axle straight across. You can see it underneath here, maybe. Okay, this is a steering stabilizer that when you're going over rough terrain, it will keep your wheel from being jerked out of your hand if you hit a rock or something. Okay, if you're to set the tow, okay, the tow is set on the tie rod. This assembly right here, the reason it's called a tie rod is because it ties this wheel straight across to this wheel. Okay, so there is no adjustment on this end. However, on this end there is. Okay, and there's a left-hand screw and a right-hand screw inside of here. So when you take and turn this nut here, you turn it one way, it expands this out. You turn it the other way, it expands it in. Okay, and that's how you take and set the tow on the Jeeps. There's many tools on the market. Believe it or not, there is a very simple tool put out by one of our Jeep family, Bleepin' Jeep, and it's about 90 bucks, I guess. And what you do is you bolt that onto the disc brake studs, and then they give you you get two tape measures, and you have one in the back and one in the front, and you take a measurement there. First you take in parallel up so that the both tape measures read the same using those tools. They come in a pair, and they're like aluminum or stainless steel pieces of channel. And then they can get that adjustment. All you have to do is make sure that the two tape measures read the same, and then to get the proper tow, what you'll do is you'll take and make sure the tape measure that is in front measured about a 1/16 to a 32nd of an inch less than the one in the back, and that's about 0.8 degrees. You have to do a little mathematic conversion because all of these quantities for the wheel alignment are generally in degrees. Okay, so you have to do a little bit of trigonometry to take and figure that out, but we figured it out already. So 32nd of an inch is 0.08 degrees. Okay, so if you have your wheels straight ahead, and then you put your 1/16 of an inch in there, okay, and then you go ahead and you got everything locked down, you have this locked down, you know, for your damper, and everything's tight and everything, and then you notice that your steering wheel is not straight. Okay, on the Jeeps there is another link. This is the drag link right here, and there's an adjustment right here that allows you to take and adjust this, because this is a steering box right up in here. Okay, this is a pinion arm, comes out, goes to here. Okay, so when you turn the steering wheel, this directly turns back and forth. Okay, and then to take and center up your steering wheel, you're going to take and loosen up these two nuts, and you're going to take and turn this, because you have a left hand thread and a right hand thread, and as you turn it, it will either be longer or shorter rod. So this is called the drag link. Okay, so you have the drag link and the tie bar. Okay, on the S10, it is a little bit different because it is rack and pinion steering, and let me show you what that looks like. See, here we're under the S10, and here is the steering box right here. Okay, and the pinion arm, just like we had on the Jeep. Okay, and it goes down to the tie rod, but the thing is, they do not have a separate adjustment just for the steering wheel. So that means what you have to do is you have to take the steering wheel and set it in center steer, and then you have to take and do the wheel alignment and get these lined up just using the left and right adjustments there. So a little bit more difficult, but still can be done. Okay, the rack and pinion steering units are almost the same as this. They do not have a steering box like this. The steering rack generally sits behind this cross member here with a tie rod out of each side. Okay, and then you still have to adjust the position of the steering wheel using this one here and this one here. So as I said, a little bit more difficult, not impossible, but you can do it. Anyway, hope I've given you some good information on wheel alignment and caster, camber, and toe, and you will know why it's good to have those adjusted properly. Means that your vehicle will drive and steer properly. It'll be a joy to drive, and your tires, you'll get maximum life out of them. Also take and make sure that your tires are properly inflated. If your tire is wearing in the middle of the tire, it is probably due to overinflation. If it's wearing equally on both outsides, it's probably due to underinflation. So check on the side of the wall of the tire for the proper inflation, and take care of your vehicles. New ones are expensive, and we want to see these classics around for a long time. Okay, hope I've given you some good information, and thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate you. Take it easy, have a nice afternoon. We'll talk to you next time.